Hi, I'm Daniel Long, and today we're going to be playing Ancestral Dreadhorde Turns. So just recently, there was a massive banned and restricted announcement, and included in it were 5 cards banned in Modern. Field of the Dead, Mystic Sanctuary, Simian Spirit Guide, Tybalt's Trickery, and Uro Titan of Nature's Wrath. So of those 5, 3 of them were being played in my, at the time, current iteration of Taking Turns. So obviously, with Uro, Mystic Sanctuary, and Field of the Dead banned, Taking Turns needed to head in a whole nother direction. So I figured, if Dreadhorde Arcanist is powerful enough to be banned in Legacy, we might as well try to play it in Modern. So Dreadhorde Arcanist is the main engine of the deck. It's a 2-mana 1/3 with Trample. The Trample has never been relevant so far. But the important part is that whenever it attacks, you get to cast an instant or sorcery with mana cost less than or equal to its power from your graveyard for free. So this is primarily good with cantrips. We've got 4 Opt, 4 Serum Vision, but it's especially good with the 4 Ancestral Vision in the deck. So Ancestral Vision is a 1-mana suspend 4, target player draws 3 cards. So hopefully on turn 1, you suspend your Ancestral Vision. On turn 2, hopefully you play your Dreadhorde Arcanist. And then a few turns later, you get to cast your Ancestral Vision, draw your 3 cards, and then because its converted mana cost is 0, when you attack with the Dreadhorde Arcanist, it can then cast the Ancestral Vision for free, letting you draw an additional 3 cards. That is just value. The rest of the creature suite includes 2 Snapcaster Mage, which also work great with the cantrips, 2 Brazen Borrower, which is great as both an interactive spell and a flash threat with 3 power. This is really good against things like opposing Jaces, right? If your opponent taps out on turn 4 for their Jace, you can Brazen Borrower and attack it after they Brainstorm. And this deck is primarily a tempo deck, so the idea is to use this creature suite along with Lightning Bolt to be able to kill the opponent after taking, maybe between like 1 and 4 extra turns, rather than trying to take all of the extra turns for the rest of the game. We also have Jace the Mind Sculptor as another value engine, just a great card in general, and also very good with the miracle card Temporal Mastery. We're also only running 3 Time Warp in this deck, which, again, because we're trying to be a tempo deck, we don't need to take all of the turns for the rest of the game. We just need, between like 1 and 4 extra turns to amass enough advantage, hit our opponent with Lightning Bolts enough that we can just win the game. In terms of other interaction, we've got the full 4 Lightning Bolt, 2 Remand, and I'm not a huge fan of this card in Modern, primarily because there are decks like Burn or Humans that have either very low costed spells in Burn, or cards like Cavern of Souls and Aether Vial from Humans. But when a Remand is good, it is pretty good. 2 Cryptic Command, and 2 of my favorite card, Commandeer. So this card is really, really good when you have excess uncastable things in your hand, stuff like Temporal Mastery or, multiple Ancestral Vision where you only really need to suspend 1 or 2. And it lets you steal a non-creature spell. So this is particularly good against Tron when they cast their Karn. But it's also good in a variety of situations. Like you can use it to protect your Time Warp. If your opponent plays a counterspell, you can Commandeer and redirect the counterspell to Commandeer. It's also good against, any other opposing Planeswalkers, like opposing Jaces or Teferis. It can also be useful for things like if your opponent goes turn 1 Thoughtseize and you really want to protect your Ancestral Vision, you can Commandeer their Thoughtseize the opponent, hopefully, take away their threat, and then suspend your Ancestral. So overall, this card is really, really great, and casting it makes me very happy. Over in the mana base, we've got nothing too exciting. We've got 6 basic islands across 3 just basic island and 3 snow-covered island, 1 Gemstone Caverns, again, one of my favorite lands, and 1 Mikokoro, just to get a little bit of extra value if you're time warping without much else to do. And then 14 cards that can consistently produce red. We've got 4 fetch lands, which I've spread across all of the blue fetch lands just so that a Pithing Needle effect won't hit all of them at once. 1 new addition to the deck is Riverglide Pathway / Lavaglide Pathway. This card is really nice as a way to dodge Choke and Boil. It's also really nice that it also always comes in untapped, which means, unlike Spirebluff Canal, you can consistently, play this either on turn 1 to suspend your Ancestral, or on turn 5 to play your Time Warp. Then we have 4 Sulfur Falls, which is just a really, really nice land whenever you have at least 1 island in play, and 3 Steam Vents. Over in the sideboard, we've got 3 Thing in the Ice. This is the primary way to win the game against opposing aggro decks like Burn. You just want to play a Thing in the Ice on turn 2, maybe block with it. Against Burn in particular, blocking with it opens it up to Lightning Bolt, but Even then, that means it ate some damage from a block and ate a lightning bolt, so it did gain you some life. It did give you a lot of value. But primarily, you want to play it on turn 2 and then play a whole bunch of, Ops and Serum Visions and Lightning Bolts to flip it real quickly and then attack the opponent with a 7/8. We have a whole bunch of removal, 2 Burst Lightning. I wanted an instant speed removal spell for decks like Hammer Time, and I also wanted it to be 1 mana so that Dreadhorde Arcanist could cast it and, Snapcaster Mage could cast it more easily. 1 Abrade. Sometimes it is important to hit artifacts, even though this costs 2 mana, so it doesn't play as nicely with Dreadhorde Arcanist. And 3 Anger of the Gods. This is good against both creature decks like humans and, in particular, Dredge. Then we've got 1 Surgical Extraction, which is primarily here for Dredge, but also good against any other graveyard decks. 1 Aether Gust, good against Burn and any red-green decks. 2 Mystical Dispute, good against any blue decks. 2 Force of Negation, and 1 additional Commandeer for those non-creature spell decks. So one of the concerns that I had with this deck is that Dreadhorde Arcanist might just eat a lightning bolt and die for no value. But it turns out that that's actually not that common, and the upside of Dreadhorde Arcanist is big enough that it is worth playing. And even if it does eat a lightning bolt, that's a lightning bolt that isn't going towards, for example, a Jace the Mind Sculptor. So it isn't like you're just completely losing value, even though, obviously you'd prefer it to survive. But basically, it is a little bit fragile. It does open the deck up to vulnerability to cards like Fatal Push. But the upside of being able to cast, Ops and Serum Visions and Ancestrals is just high enough that it's worth playing. It's very much like the situation in Legacy, where Dreadhorde Arcanist just becomes a must-kill card. And if your opponent can't kill Dreadhorde Arcanist, you get to amass so much card advantage that you're at a huge, huge advantage in the game and very favored to win. If you like these videos and you'd like to support me, you can use the TCG player link in the description down below to buy the cards that you're missing. And with that, let's jump right into the matches. Okay, here we are for match number 1. We have won the die roll. I'm going to go ahead and keep this hand. Hopefully either Commandeer or Lightning Bolt is good. And we'll be able to work our way towards a Jace if we just get a few more lands. Opponent with a Wooded Foothills into Temple Garden. Utopia Sprawl. So unfortunately, Commandeering this won't do anything. So gotta let that one go. And I think I'll probably get a basic since this... Wait, Temple Garden to Utopia Sprawl. I was gonna say this might be a Blood Moon deck. This might be the Heliod Walking Ballista deck. Do need lands. Go ahead and play a Misty, and then we can decide if we want to Brazenly Borrow or Lightning Bolt or just get a tap Steam. One thing to note is that because we've played Flooded Strand, Misty Rainforest, and Snow Island, the opponent might think we're on some kind of Bant deck, which I don't know how much that would affect their decision making, but we haven't showed them any red yet, so they might not be thinking of Lightning Bolt. Opponent with a Horizon Canopy into Spike Feeder. So this is indeed the Heliod Other Nonsense deck. So I think I'll keep my life total higher by fetching a tapped Steam Vents here. I don't think it makes a huge difference. And then I do want to zap the Spike Feeder. See what we draw. Useless land. Go ahead and zap the Spike Feeder. I don't think it really matters what land we play. Just play the Snow Island. So if the opponent casts Collected Company, I'm probably gonna Commandeer it, but I really would like to play the Jace, so see what the opponent does. Ranger Captain of Eos. It's a little annoying. See what they grab. Probably a Walking Ballista if I had to guess. Walking Ballista it is. And then I'm gonna bounce the Ranger Captain. They have the option of... Okay, I guess not. Gonna say they have the option of disallowing us from casting non-creature spells, but they didn't take it, so just gonna go ahead. I guess I'll play this as a red. Don't think it makes a huge difference. But I'll get Jace down, and because the opponent only has 3 mana, I feel pretty safe to just this, and then yes, we'll leave up Commandeer and have a Temporal Mastery on top, which sounds pretty good to me. Skyclave Apparition, oh, that's really annoying. That is really annoying. Got the Miracle Temporal Mastery. And then we can snap opt and put the land to the bottom. We could Brazen Borrower, or we could do neither of those. We could snap bolt. Given that we know we're drawing a fairly useless card next turn, I kind of want to snap opt, but playing the Snapcaster also seems kind of bad. Having a lightning bolt for either Walking Ballista or lightning bolt I think is probably better. So I guess I'll just play Brazen Borrower. Certainly not very good. Does kind of open us up to getting Walking Ballisted here, but then we can snap bolt it, which isn't the worst thing ever. Okay. That's annoying. Guess I should have thought a little bit harder. We had the option of going Snapcaster, block this, lightning bolt that, which maybe would have been good. I was kind of too focused on lightning bolting the Walking Ballista that the opponent has in hand. See what we can Serum into. Not a lot. Want both of these though. Yeah, I think I was a little bit too focused on zapping the Walking Ballista. I think it was probably worth it to let them have the Walkie Bee and hit the Conclave Mentor instead. So we'll see what they get. Interesting. Guess they just want to make a really big Walking Ballista. So this is a little annoying because they can sacrifice the Ranger Captain to basically save something. We'll see what happens. Like, basically I won't be able to cast this Lightning Bolt if they sacrifice the Ranger Captain. But I kind of like waiting until now, because then I can block the Conclave Mentor. It just makes the Walking Ballista huge, so I think I need to get rid of the Arbor Elf. Serum into Dreadhorde, and then I guess I'll bottom that, top that. And we're gonna hope that the opponent doesn't get an untapped land or their Walking Ballista. If they do, they can kill the Dreadhorde, and we really don't want that to happen. It's also really annoying that these Commandeers have done nothing and will continue to do nothing. Well, there's an untapped land, so that's unfortunate. I think the opponent could have attacked with this, and then if we blocked with the Dreadhorde, we're putting it at risk of Walking Ballista, so... Was the opponent just going for the full-on combo this turn? Probably Heliod Spike Feeder if I had to guess. Yeah, so we're not strictly dead to this, because we can theoretically use Jace for infinite turns, but we know that the opponent has infinite life, so Jace for plussing to mill the opponent out. We know the opponent has a Walking Ballista in hand. We know that we're going to draw a Dreadhorde Arcanist next, which is not very good. So let's see, what can we do? I do want to at least see what we draw with Dreadhorde Arcanist casting Opt. We are almost certainly dead, but, you know. Oh yeah, I guess the annoying part is that Dreadhorde Arcanist is going to die into the blockers. Is there anything we can do? Yeah, even if we get something like a Time Warp, that's not good enough. Jace isn't good enough, because we can Jace Brainstorm. Oh, okay, I've got it. We can Jace Brainstorm, get land Cryptic, and then the opponent needs to mess up by casting the Walking Ballista pre-combat, and then we can counter this, tap their team. So I think that's literally the only way we can win. So it's going to be Dreadhorde Arcanist, cast Opt, Opt into Jace, Jace into land other thing, land Cryptic. And the opponent needs to mess up. There's a lot of things that need to happen here. So we are almost certainly dead, but gonna just give it a shot. You know, miracles have happened before. That's not it. And that's not it. All right. So I think we want everything that kills a creature. We want Aether Gust. I think we want Thing in the Ice. And these Commandeers looked very embarrassing. I don't really like Remand that much here. And then I think I'm going to trim on a little bit of Dreadhorde and a little bit of Ancestral. Trim 1 Time Warp and 1 land. We will try it like that. You know what? Change my mind. I think I want 1 more Dreadhorde over 1 more extra turn effect, just to add a little bit of pressure from Dreadhording into additional removal. Okay, here we are for game 2. We are going first, and this hand looks excellent. We've got 2 bolts, an Ancestral, a Dreadhorde. Yeah, this is a keeper. I think I'm just gonna go turn 1 Snow Island. Well, let's see. There's a slight argument for spending 2 life on Steam Vents. Then next turn, if the opponent goes, you know, like Arbor Elf, we'll get to bolt it, and then also have a bolt up for a potential turn 2 play. I don't think we need to do that though. I think I would rather have the 2 life rather than that option. Let's see what the opponent does. Okay, well, can't bolt that. Ancestral ticking down to 3. Go ahead and play a Dreadhorde Arcanist. See what the opponent's got. Temple of Gardens into Heliod. Okay, well that's pretty good for the opponent. Cast a Serum. Got Abrade. I think I don't want this land, and I think I do want the Brazen Borrower, which can bounce Heliod. I'll go ahead and play the Sulfur Falls. Attack with the Dreadhorde. Cast the Serum. Draw the Brazy Bee. I guess Burst Lightning is fine. It does kind of represent a lot of damage. Ranger Captain of Eos for the opponent. They haven't played a land yet. So I think I'll let this resolve, see what they get, and then decide. Arbor Elf. If they go land Elf, then I think this is a pretty clear bolt the Ranger Captain, and then we'll attack with Dreadhorde and bolt the Elf. Yep, already cast the spell, so it's totally fine. Ancestral ticking down. Burst Lightning. And then Guess I'll attack with the Dreadhorde, and I'm thinking about whether or not to play the Steam Vents tapped. Definitely want to kill the Arbor Elf. Basically, playing it untapped allows us to do both Brazen Borrower and Abrade. I guess that's worth it. I mean, we're at a pretty high life total and we're pressuring the opponent a lot, so I think it's fine. I guess there's an argument that I should have bounced the Heliod on their turn because now they can Collected Company and hit like Spike Feeder and something. So I am going to Petty Theft this now. If they hit Spike Feeder, we'll be able to Lightning Bolt it and then Burst Lightning it. Yeah, I think I should have done this on my turn. Just have to hope they don't get lucky. If they get 2 Spike Feeders, I think we're screwed. Oh my god. That's really annoying. So in response to this, I believe I can... Let's do a quick thing. So if I Burst Lightning it, then they can gain 2 more life, but the Spike Feeder will be dead, so they'll just put a counter on the Skyclave. If I Abrade it, I think I'll Burst Lightning it. Yeah, the Skyclave apparition is actually going to get pretty big, so maybe I should just bolt this now, or it gets out of hand. Opt. Well, let's see. I think actually it's probably better to Dreadhorde Arcanist and then leave up Snapcaster Bolt if we need it. Also, I guess leaves up Brazen Borrower if we want to cast that instead. Huh. That's a little annoying. Let's see, so what do we do about that? Well, we can't Abrade it. We can't Snapcaster Lightning Bolt it. Grand Abolisher, man. I was not expecting that one. I guess I'll just cast Brazen Bar. Let me think real quick. Did we take out the remands? We did. So opting into remand is not an option. I think I'll just cast Brazen Bar. Heliod again. So I think I want to just attack with everything, Burst Lightning the Grand Abolisher, and then have both Snapcaster Bolt and Abrade up. I think that is the best move. This is a 2/2, right? Yeah. Burst Lightning it. Opponent is also dead on board. We have 6 power, and Dreadhorde Arcanist gets us Bolt. Alright. That is a stacked forest. I think they're deciding between... Ooh, Ranger Captain of you. Okay. I was gonna say, I think they're deciding between Collected Company and something else, but I guess not. I already played this Arbor Elf. Right, they've got a Walking Ballista. They're just gonna take down the Brazen Borrower. Let's see. So if I go Abrade the Ranger Captain, and then opponent will sack it in response. Then in response to that, I go Snapcaster, Bolt, Walking Ballista. Then they take down the Brazen Borrower, but we get to Dreadhorde Arcanist, Ancestral. I think I like that. Start with this. I think now we're so close to being able to force the opponent's hand by just having one more burn spell. We can get one more burn spell, then when they go for the block shoot Brazen Borrower. No, that's not true. Basically, if they don't block and then shoot Brazen Borrower, then they are dead to Lightning Bolt, so I think actually I'd rather just opt. Let's see what we find. Cryptic I like. Okay, so we can't cast spells this turn. Right? I think I'm gonna Serum, see what we draw, and then decide if I want to Ancestral or Bolt off of the Dreadhorde Arcanist. I don't like either of these right now. So I think I want to Ancestral with the Dreadhorde Arcanist. And if the opponent doesn't do anything, then we Snapcaster Bolt them. If the opponent does go block shoot, then we will hold up Cryptic Command. There is an argument for using Cryptic on Heliod now, just so that the opponent can't get us with a Collected Company again, but I don't think they have Collected Company based on the way they've been playing. So I will counter that and bounce Heliod. The opponent has a Veil of Summer. We get got real bad here, but I hope they don't. Nice. Heliod again. I believe the opponent is dead. We just Time Warp. And then in for 3, we'll just cast Opt. Serum Visions, why not? And now we just bolt them. Zap. All right. Let's see. For game 3, I think bring this land in. I think I'll cut Sick Island instead. And I kind of want to bring in the 4th Dreadhorde Arcanist. It was really good there. And I think it's going to be a little difficult to use Ancestral when we're on the draw. Like, we're just going to want to hold stuff up. So I think trimming one more is fine. Try it like this. All right, here we are for game 3. We are going 2nd. I like the Bolt and I like the Ancestral. Also are working our way towards our 4-drops. Go ahead and keep this. The opponent plays an Elf, we're going to zap it. If they don't, we're going to Ancestral. Well, suspend Ancestral. Ooh, nice. Auriok Champion. All right, so now this is an interesting question of, do we play the red here for, you know, a potential Anger of the Gods, or do we play the blue here for the Cryptic Command that's in our hand? And I think because we have so many blue sources in our hand, I think I'm going to play it as a red source, but I could come to regret that decision later. I'm doing this because I think that I might be playing the Steam Vents tapped, but I guess we'll see. Ranger Captain of Use. Say Walking Ballista. Ancestral down to 2. Got a Brazen Borrower. So I think I will zap the Ranger Captain now and then shock ourselves on Steam Vents, holding up either Opt or Petty Theft. Zap the Ranger Captain. Fine. Wasn't going to cast any non-creature spells this turn anyway. There is Heliod. I think I'm going to try to bounce it. Again, if the opponent has Veil of Summer, we're in a bit of trouble here. But It'll bring thing down to 2. Alright, cool. Ancestral ticking down to 1. Alright, I think I'm gonna try to draw a land here. Not a land. That's a land. Let's see what the opponent does. One option is we can play the Brazen Borrower, and then when Thing in the Ice flips to Awoken Horror, because we're going to cast this Ancestral at our upkeep, we'll get the Brazen Borrower back, which means we can Petty Theft. So I think that's going to be our default play, but let's see what the opponent does. Alright, there's a Ranger Captain. So annoyingly, the Ranger Captain is going to get bounced by Thing in the Ice, even if we try to bolt it. Not really much we can do about that. There's another Walking Ballista. So opponent has Ballista, Heliod, 2 unknowns in hand. So one really annoying thing here is that if we go to our turn with the opponent's Ranger Captain on board, they're probably just going to activate it and we won't be able to Ancestral or Jace or anything. So I think, unfortunately, we do have to bolt the Ranger Captain. I really don't want to do. Or I guess we should bolt the opponent's face just to get the Ranger Captain off the board. Because I want to draw 3 cards. Yeah, face is the place. So opponent has Auriok Champion, Ranger Captain, Walking Ballista, Heliod, and 2 unknowns in hand, I think. Team Vents tapped. And it would be really nice if we just either Miracle Temporal Mastery or draw both a land and a Time Warp. Alright, well, I'll take this. Land. Get in there, and we'll hold up Snapcaster Bolt, or Cryptic Command, or Aether Gust plus Brazen Borrower. Got our choice. Let that one resolve. I think my play is probably going to be Cryptic tap their team, and then Snapcaster Bolt them for lethal. That seems fine too. Okay, that also seems fine. I guess the even safer thing to do here is just play the Brazen Borrower, and then on our turn, we will just tap their team and kill him. So tap all creatures your opponents control, draw a card. All right, I'll see you for the next match. Okay, here we are for match 2. We have lost the die roll, but this hand looks pretty good to me. Right, power plant from the opponent. So I'm gonna go ahead and say our life total probably doesn't matter. I'm gonna leave our options of bolting a Matter Reshaper or just opting. Yeah, there's an Expedition map, can't really do anything about that. So we'll go ahead and opt. Nope, not the right time. Ooh, okay, do we suspend the Ancestral or do we cast a Dreadhorde? I think it's more important to just get Dreadhorde active and on board, but could be wrong about that. The opponent, I guess the opponent could have a Thought-Knot Seer next turn, but with this we get to bolt Dreadhorde, bolt the Thought-Knot Seer, and then... Okay, well they might just be using Expedition map here. Chalice on 1. Are you kidding me? Well, this is a disaster. But we do not want to cast this into a Chalice. Yeah, we are going to have a tough time now. We are going to have a real tough time. Basically, we need to draw... There's a Matter Reshaper. We need to draw a Brazen Borrower for this Chalice. And it's going to be real hard to do that when we can't effectively cantrip. Right, well, there's a Remand. And play Flooded Strand. I don't think our life total is going to be super relevant, and I think I'd rather be able to thin the deck. Okay, we're taking 3. Remand this. Goodness gracious, that's a lot of lands. Also, getting a shuffle is nice because I think we still had that Temporal Mastery on the bottom, so I guess this gives us more shots at drawing it. Visions. I'm a dummy. Well, we're not casting those. Yeah, that was really stupid. All right, we're taking 3 down to 12. What's the matter, Reshaper? Uh-oh. Opponent's got Tron line next turn. Alright, well luckily we have Ancestral Vision this turn. So hopefully this will be able to dig us to something. Like a Brazen Borrower, maybe? Let's see here. So one option is to Jace, bounce the Matter Reshaper, attack with 1 Dreadhorde, and then cast the Ancestral and draw 3 more cards. We'd have 3 mana available after that. But I think what I'd rather do is just throw away a Dreadhorde Arcanist for the sake of drawing 3 cards to hopefully better inform our decision. Like if we draw, for example, a Temporal Mastery, then we know that we can cast it, versus if we only had 3 mana. Or if we draw like a Snapcaster Mage, then we'll be able to snap Time Warp if we want. Okay. That's really unfortunate. I think I'm gonna Jace 0 and then shuffle away a whole bunch of stuff. And the unfortunate part is that Jace is going to die. Alright, there's a Brazen Borrower. That is what we needed. Shuffle away, I guess, 2 cantrips. And let's see here. So now, do I suspend and Ancestral, or... You know, actually, I think what I do is I go to discard to hand size and then discard an Ancestral. And that way, if we survive next turn, we'll be able to Dreadhorde stuff. So they're both going at Jace, which is good. It means we don't die to Walking Ballista. We will let that happen. How much mana does the opponent have? Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 9, 10 mana or 11 for Eldrazi. Kind of a lot. Walking Ballista X3. There is not much we can do about that. And a Maze. Wonder why they didn't spend 2 more mana on the walk. Down goes Dreadhorde, unfortunately. Petty Theft this. Too late for Commandeer. Not the right time for that either. Okay, I think I'll go land. Let's think. So the opponent is at 17. You have 9 points of burn in hand, so they're at a virtual 8. So if we go Brazen Borrower or Time Warp, the next turn we can go Suspend Ancestral Temporal, attack with Brazen Borrower for 3, and then attack with Brazen Borrower for 3 again. This puts us like kind of close to killing the opponent. It's a little bit greedy, but I think I'm gonna do it because like any Snapcaster, for example, becomes really, really good if we do this. Or like any extra turn effect becomes really good if we do this. I'll zap the opponent one time. Draw. Well, these draws were quite unfortunate. So the other thing I could have done instead of casting the Brazen Borrower was activate Mikokoro. That kind of felt worse to me. But oh well. Now if the opponent has another Walking Ballista, we're in a bit of trouble, because I think they can kill us. Thought Not Seer. Okay, so that one's interesting, because I think now what we want to do is just zap the opponent's face twice. And then... Dang it, and then if they have exactly Reality Smasher, we're dead. Guess if they have Walking Ballista, we're in a lot of trouble. We're willing to die to Reality Smasher for the sake of putting the opponent dead next turn. Alternatively, do we just double bolt the Thought Not Seer? Draw a card. I think with the opponent having 6 cards in hand, I think we need to take a risk. I think we're not going to win this game without taking some kind of risk. So I think I'm going to double zap the opponent and hope that they do. How did they scry? 1 card on top. That might have been the Thought Not Seer. I'm going to take a risk. Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate because, you know, if this Commandeer had been like a Time Warp or a Temporal Mastery or a Lightning Bolt or a Snapcaster Mage, then we would be looking pretty good. But as it stands, oh no. Yeah, Walking Ballista really throws a wrench in our plans as well. There's that Chalice on 1 again. He's Mind Tome. Yep. We need something real good here. That's not it. Right? Well, we again need something real good. I think our best bet is a Snapcaster Mage or Snap Time Warp. I would also take a Cryptic Command for tap the opponent's team. I would not take Island. I would not take a Serum Visions, that gets countered. Okay, so Eldrazi Tron. Eldrazi Tron is a little bit unique in that Lightning Bolt is bad and Commandeer is bad. There's just not that many decks where they're both bad, but I think something like Abrade is good. Anger is not so good. I think something like this is gonna be our best bet. Let's try it like that. Right, here we are for game 2. We are going first. Hand's not amazing, but it has Thing in the Ice and Opt. And if we draw a red source, we can Abrade a Chalice, so I think I'll keep it. We also have Brazen Borrower for a Chalice. So certainly not the best hand ever, but it's decent. One thing to be aware of is that Warping Whale is a really good card against us. I'm also thinking of not casting the Opt, basically to get an extra counter on Thing in the Ice. Okay, if we draw a red source, kind of want to look for a red source now to Abrade the map. There it is. Unfortunate that we're missing out on 2 Thing in the Ice counters, but I'll take it to get rid of an Expedition map. Is the opponent just gonna natural Tron? Do we Dreadhorde or do we Thing? I think Dreadhorde is gonna be better here. It'll let us opt. Man, if the opponent gets a natural Tron here, I'm gonna be upset. Alright, there is Brazen Borrower, which is probably gonna take Jace. Yep, bye Jace. He tried. Okay, so I think my plan is going to be cast Thing in the Ice, attack with Dreadhorde Arcanist, cast Opt, see what we draw, and then probably Brazen Borrower the Thought-Knot Seer. Yeah, let's do that. Plan here is kill the opponent with an Awoken Horror in a couple turns. So this is going to be really important because after we cast the spell, but before blocks, we're going to want to Petty Theft the Thought-Knot Seer. Ancestral. Unfortunately, I don't think that's what we want right now. Double Time Warp. Interesting. We Petty Theft the Thought-Knot Seer. Right, interesting. There is Thought-Knot Seer again. Probably taking a Time Warp if I had to guess. Yep. And a Wastes from the opponent. I think it's worth warping here. Takes a counter off Thing. So we've got several options here. I think kind of want to play the Brazen Borrower and then cast Opt. Brazen Borrower goes back. Maybe I just want to opt to flip Thing in the Ice and then recast Dreadhorde Arcanist. And then probably the Thought-Knot Seer is just going to take a Force. Yeah, I think I like that better, actually. Guess I'll bottom this and see if we draw something better. Let's see here. I think I'll just cast Dreadhorde Arcanist and leave up Brazen Borrower or Mikokoro. Gain some life. Kind of forgot about that gain life, to be honest. There's Thought-Knot Seer again. There goes our Force of Negation. I think I'm just going to play the Brazen Borrower. Just try to put some pressure on the opponent. Okay, that was enough pressure. I was considering attacking with the Dreadhorde Arcanist to cast Opt, and let's see what we would have seen. Cryptic. Oh yeah, that's real good. Yeah, then we can Cryptic, bounce the Thought-Knot Seer, and then Remand it on the way down. Yeah, okay, they were dead. Let's see, any changes for game 3? There's some consideration for Commandeer. I forgot about Mazemind Tome, and I also think I would maybe Commandeer an Expedition map on one. Still don't think it's very good. But I think it's going to be harder to attack with Dreadhorde Arcanist when we're on the draw. So maybe you want to trim one of those for a Commandeer. Again, really unsure, but we'll give it a shot. Okay, here we are for game 3. We are going second. This hand is almost really good, except that our mana base is a bunch of Sulfur Falls. I'm just going to try really, really hard to draw an island in our first 2 draws. I guess if the opponent plays a Chalice, we're in a bit of trouble as well, but what can you do? Okay, cool. So given that the opponent could play a Chalice and kind of screw us over, I am going to play 1 Serum Visions now, so that, you know, we resolve it and stuff. I guess I could top these. Man, this is a toughie. I think Commandeer is going to be that good, but maybe it will be. And then Mikokoro is going to take a while to be good, but maybe it'll be good. I think I'm going to bottom I am really, really unsure about this top. I feel like it'll be bad. I feel like it's not going to be good. It's like, if the opponent has a Maze Mind Tome, they'll cast it next turn. If the opponent has a Chalice, you know, Commandeering that's no good. Yep, there's a Chalice. Oh boy. There's a Matter Reshaper. Oh boy. I don't think there's a point in playing the Flooded Strand. We already have 2 cards on the bottom that we don't really want to draw. I don't think there's a point in not blocking here. Oh, that's the point in not blocking there. Whoops. Well, now we are in a whole heap of trouble. Chalice on 0. Okay. Chalice on 1. I don't think remanding that is going to do anything. So we are really just not casting our 1-drops this game. Do we suspend the Ancestral? Basically, do we think we can hit that Chalice in a few turns? I'm not very confident, so I don't want to do it. There's a Reality Smasher from the opponent. And, oh my goodness gracious. Alright, I think we're kind of priced into suspending Ancestral now, given that we know the opponent has a Reality Smasher, so they're gonna kill us very fast. Oh my goodness. What do we need? I think we need like a Snapcaster for Snap Time Warp, and then something really good after that. Okay, well, I'll take this. Yeah, we're looking like we're not going to be able to resolve this Ancestral. Unfortunate. Yep, Ancestral gets countered. And we die. Cool. I'll see you for the next match. Alright, here we are for match 3. We have lost the die roll. This hand looks good if we can draw a red source in the top couple cards. I'm gonna risk it for the biscuit. I mean, we didn't come here to not keep hands with Ancestral and Dreadhorde in them, right? Come on, red source, red source, red source, red source, red source, red source. Close enough. Suspend the Ancestral and pass to the opponent. So, opponent went Spire Bluff, Canal, no spells. Riverglide Pathway, Electromancer. Okay, we really, really need a red source because we need to kill that. That's not it. Alright, come on, Opt. You're our only hope. That's not it. Oh no! Yeah, holding up Remand was not going to be good there because our Storm opponent can just easily kill us through a Remand. Ritual. Expect to die here. There's a Gifts Ungiven. Classic Piles. Let's see. If I give them a Passing Flames and a Manamorphose, that is going to be 1 for the Manamorphose, makes 3. So if they don't have any more rituals and I give them Passing Flames, Manamorphose, then they can't actually keep going. So I'll give them the... I was supposed to click on the other ones. Mentally misstepped there about what Gifts Ungiven does, but I'm pretty sure we were dead regardless, so I don't think it actually matters, but I did mean to click on the 2 rituals to put them in the graveyard rather than what I did, which is clicking on Manamorphose and Passing Flames thinking they would go into hand. Guess if the opponent doesn't have enough cards, then we might not be strictly dead right now. Oh no, I guess they're going to cast Gifts Ungiven again. So I guess we're dead. We'll see, I guess we'll let it play out. So the Desperate Ritual does not have flashback, but all three of these other Pyretic Rituals do. They've got 1 ton of mana. Then they can go Ritual, Gifts Ungiven. And now that I remember how Gifts Ungiven works, figure out what to put where. The interesting thing here is if we had gone first, I might have still kept that hand, suspended the Ancestral, and then we would have Remand for their Electromancer, so it would be in actually like pretty reasonable shape if we had won the die roll, but also keeping that hand, having won the die roll, is maybe too risky. Alright, let's see here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're dead. So if I put both Grape Shot and Past in Flames in the yard, then I guess they get to just go like Ritual, Ritual, and then Past in Flames, Ritual, 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 Grape Shot. I click on these two. Didn't quite do the math, but I'm pretty sure we die. Yeah, now the opponent just goes Past in Flames, Ritual, 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 and then Grape Shot us for lethal, so I'm good. Alright, so we want Thing in the Ice is going to be our primary way to win. Force of Negation is going to be great, Commandeer is going to be great, Mystical Dispute is going to be great, Aether Gust is going to be great. And I believe we want at least 1 Anger in case they empty the Warrens, and I think we want an Abrade since that will kill a Brawl Chief of Compliance, and then I think we want to trim on Dreadhordes, trim on Ancestrals, Remand is good, trim on some extra turns. Make a lot more cuts for all these. Alright, sorry Dreadhorde Arcanist, but I think you gotta sit this one out. And 1 more cut. I think Time Warp is going to be hard to use effectively. You know what? I'll put in 1 Ancestral over 1 land. Alright, here we are for game 2. We are going first. Yeah, this looks good. So we'll be able to suspend Ancestral and then Abrade their Brawl or Goblin Electromancer on 2. Yeah, kind of glad this is an Ancestral instead of a land. Opponent shocks on a Steam Vents, probably going to opt out our end step. Lightning Bolt, not bad. So I'll go ahead and play the Misty, then pass, see what the opponent does. Yep, there's that opt out our end step. A Riverglide pathway, and a Serum Visions. A Secret Lair art. Alright, and we are going to opt looking for a land. Ideally a red source, so that we'll have Abrade plus. Cool. Take it. Yeah, I'll go ahead and fetch now. So we're going to want to get a Steam Vents. I'll just preserve my life total. And I think I'll shock here. And that gives us the option of just playing a Brazen Borrower. And it also gives us Abrade plus Bolt if the opponent goes like Brawl plus Remand or whatever. There's another Serum Visions from the opponent. Alright, I think I just want to try to pressure them, so I am just going to play the Brazen Borrower. We have plenty of removal for a Brawl or a Goblin Electromancer. Ancestral ticking down. There's a Remand. Unfortunately, no land. In with the Brazen Borrower. Opponent down to 15. And nothing at our end step. Opponent with 8 cards in hand, so we're getting to the point where they have probably assembled their critical mass. I wasn't really paying attention to what kinds of tops or bottoms they were doing, but this is also a really important point for them because it's right before our Ancestral goes off. So I think our plan is going to be... That's interesting. I was going to say I think our plan is to Remand their cost reducer and then bolt it, but if this is their play, I guess we let it happen. Aria of Flame. That's annoying. I'll go ahead and remand this. I expect the opponent has a remand of their own. Oh, a Mystical Dispute. That's even more annoying. Okay. Well, let's see what we can do. Kind of regretting playing the Brazen Borrower now. Maybe that was too greedy. Definitely forgot. Oh, okay. Let's see. So unfortunately, if the opponent has another Mystical Dispute, then we won't have Force of Negation up if we go for the Brazen Borrower now. So I think I'm going to upkeep the Brazen Borrower on Aria of Flame. And then if the opponent counters, we'll forcibly negate. Then what? Not sure what after that, but what it is. Well, okay. I didn't actually look at the opponent's life total, which is 10. So one interesting thing is if we Brazen Borrower the Aria Flame and they use a Mystical Dispute here, they'll go to 9. Then they need to basically kill us off of their 3 cards in hand through a Force of Negation, because we'll be able to attack them for with Brazen Borrower down to 6 and then bolt. So I think for that reason, I'm going to Petty Theft now. So if this gets countered, okay, well it didn't. Basically, if it got countered, that puts the opponent at 9, which is actually a really important life total. Interesting. Heretic Ritual. Anamorphose. That resolve. A little confused what the opponent's doing. They might be emptying the Warrens, but the storm count is quite low right now. They only cast 2 spells. Oh, a Grape Shot. Okay, yeah. I think that's fine. Let's see, where are these all going? So one option is to forcibly negate the one going at the Brazen Borrower, but I'm not going to do that. I would rather just have the Force of Negation in hand. Interesting. Then they just let the mana go to waste? How bizarre. Alright, cast a Serum Visions. Opt is a blue card for Commandeer, so yes, top. I'm quite confused what's going on. Opponent just seems to be using so many resources. They must be playing around something. I don't know what they're trying to play around though. Now that we have Aether Gust in hand, I kind of just want to let that resolve and then cast the Brazen Borrower at their end step and then Aether Gust it on our turn. I think that's my play. And then if they mystically dispute this, okay, I was going to force it, but don't need to do that, it looks like. It's down to 7. Got 2 bolts in hand. We are very, very, very close to lethal. Right, opt from the opponent. If we could not show them Force of Negation and not show them Commandeer, I think that would be great. Oh my goodness. I completely forgot about Bolt, Snap, Bolt. Anyway, there's a Baral, which will resolve. Let's try to Abrade it. I don't really know how this goes wrong. Like, they cast a spell and then they cast a Remand. Totally fine. And then we Brazen Borrower, Bolt. Seems good to me. But yeah, I totally forgot about just bolting the opponent at their end step and then going Snap, Bolt. That would have worked, but I guess we're going to win anyway. Zap. And even if they have like a Force of Negation, which I highly doubt, we have Commandeer. But yeah. Okay. You know what? I completely forgot to put Surgical Extraction in. We did see Empty the Warrens, which they had discarded. They played their whatchamacallit. Oh. The one Ancestral was pretty good, to be honest. What are we taking out, though? We take out one land, and I think Jace is probably not that good. Let's try it like that. Very unsure. All right, here we are for game 3. Yeah, I'll keep this. Got Bolt, Brazen Borrower, Jace. So basically, we're not good against Empty the Warrens with this hand, but we are good against Aria Flame because we can bounce it, and we are good against an Electromancer or a Baral because we can zap it. Opponent has Mold to 6. Ooh, that's a cool one. Silundi Isle / Silundi Vision. Go ahead and play the Scalding Tarn. Mystical Dispute, great pickup. I'm almost certainly getting a Steam Vents here. Got an Abrade. Probably going to play the Riverglide pathway as Lavaglide pathway next turn so that we can have both Abrade and Bolt up, or just cast Brazen Borrower if we want to, but I'm not so sure about that, given that they can just, you know, use a Grape Shot like they did last time to incidentally kill Brazen Borrower plus do other stuff. I did kind of forget about that line, so I think we're better off just holding the Brazen Borrower for now. Okay. Play that Lavaglide. Serum Visions from the opponent. It's a-okay. Serum Visions from the opponent. Again, you got it. Thinking about the Brazen Borrower, I think it would be bad to play it, but I'm very uncertain. I'll go ahead and suspend an Ancestral. That sounds good. Now I think we want to probably try to wait as long as possible for the sake of our Ancestral ticking down. So I think the Ancestral is going to encourage me to not play the Brazen Borrower to basically give us Petty Theft if the opponent goes for like an Aria Flame. This one I think is a good Mystical Dispute target. Basically stops the opponent from developing a considerable amount. One option is to play Jace and have Bolt up. We do go pretty shields down if we do that, but we're also like that Mystical Dispute was our only counterspell. So playing a Jace, right? They're like probably not going to remand it. Well, they can't remand it. They might Mystically Dispute it, but they didn't Mystically Dispute our Mystical Dispute, which would have been like a 2-for-1. I guess one of the disaster scenarios is they go like Aria Flame and then just 2 spells. So maybe we wait. Yeah, I guess I'll wait. We've also got that Ancestral on suspend, so I think waiting is okay. Just, it feels like that was the window to resolve a Jace. But I guess if it does get Mystically Disputed, we're in a pretty bad spot. There is some Empty the Warrens insurance. So Baral is going to resolve. In response to this Pyretic Ritual, I'll attempt to Braid Baral. And I think in response to that Pyretic Ritual, I will Bolt Baral, just for the sake of not letting them have even more mana. Because they could continue to cast rituals or Manamorphosis, Manamorphi after that. Aria Flame. So I think I'll let them do damage to us, and then when they don't have mana available, I'll bounce it. Yeah, because like if I bounce this now, they can just replay it, and that is probably not good. You know, it did increase our life by 10, so. Oh, interesting. They played this as a land. Alright, well, I'm gonna bounce this. I think now this is our window to cast Jace, and let's try to draw some blue spells. Nice. So I think if we commandeer the Aria of Flame using Serum Visions and Brazen Borrower, and then we can just Time Warp, and that'll be really sick. I like this. I'll put back Anger and Time Warp. Now we have Commandeer up through a Spell Pierce, but not through a Mystical Dispute. All right, I'll try to take it. Oh dang, they had a Remand. That's unfortunate. But maybe our Jace is gonna live then? Yeah, our Jace lives. That's great, that's great. So now our Ancestral Vision is down to 0. We'll Time Warp ourselves. Jace. We'll put back Anger, and then Temporal. Land. Okay, so now we Miracle Temporal Mastery. That. And we'll cast Brazen Bar. Actually, I guess. Let's see, we know we have an Anger, which I don't really want to draw right now. It looks like the opponent has too few resources to do a good empty. So put that to the bottom, and now we'll 0 here. Ooh. Okay. Now I guess we get to play a Thing in the Ice, play Brazen Borrower. And then the cool thing is that now we get to attack with the Brazen Borrower, Jace it back to our hand, and then bounce the Aria of Flame, and then we can hit Aria of Flame with a Force of Negation on the way down. I like that. Also takes down the Thing in the Ice, and this also causes the opponent to concede the game. I'll see you for the next one. All right, here we are for match number 4. We have lost the die roll. I think if we were on the play, I would probably snap keep this. On the draw, it's a little questionable because we're not really doing anything until our turn 4, opponent's turn 5. But I guess we can maybe Serum into like a Bolt if we need it, or like a Remand or something. So I'll keep it, but I'm not super happy about it. All right, Stomping Ground from the opponent. And an Arbor Elf. Okay, we really want to bolt off the top. That's not it. Show me a bolt. Those are not it, but I will keep the opt. Will give us another chance to look for a bolt. Birds of Paradise. No land. And no attack. That's interesting. Well, let's opt and give us a bolt. Serum Visions, okay, sure. Whoops, wrong color. Come on, Serum, show us a bolt. So we will get to, if we want, we can, so we can put Ancestral then Temporal. So next turn we'll Miracle the Temporal, play Steam Vents tapped, and then the turn after that we'll play Sulfur Falls and have Cryptic up. We won't get to suspend the Ancestral, but have the Time Warp. I think after we use the first Cryptic, then the turn after we'll suspend the Ancestral and then have another Cryptic up, and then we'll be able to like Time Warp and Temporal Mastery and stuff. So I do think we double top in that order. Just really hope the opponent doesn't do anything. You know, I guess if the opponent is on a Stone Rain deck, then this is really, really embarrassing, because if we get Stone Rained here, then we can't do anything. Okay, that's unfortunate. So luckily we have a basic island. But yeah, this is definitely not good, because now our Cryptic Commands are offline. So now I kind of wish I'd put this in the other order, but what can you do, right? And then we know we're drawing Ancestral, so there's not really a point in playing the Snow Island. Now I'll suspend the Ancestral. And now I guess I'll play the Snow Island. And then this way, if we draw another Snow Island, we'll have Cryptic up if we need it. But I'm also mildly expecting our lands to get destroyed here. Okay, Klothys, God of Destiny. Taking one from the Arbor Elf. Ancestral ticking down to 3. There's that lightning bolt I wanted ages and ages ago. I'll go ahead and Time Warp. Ancestral ticking down to 2. Okay, let's take a look at our options. We don't want a mountain, I don't think, but we draw a mountain anyway. And then I'm gonna just zap the Arbor Elf. Okay, Klothys' ability, she eats. She can eat this fetch land, or she can eat anything to 2/3 lightning helix us, eating a Serum Visions. 3 mana, Seasoned Pyromancer. You know, I always wonder what flavor Seasoned Pyromancer is. Could be like garlic, could be like paprika. Whoa! Double Elder Gargaroth discard? Wow. Okay. Anyway, Ancestral taken down. Okay. Brazen Borrower. So this one is interesting because it lets us bounce the Blood Moon and then fetch off the Flooded Strand, and it gives us another island. So I think I'm going to keep this as a surprise. So the opponent's going to cast a spell, we're going to bounce the Blood Moon, get another island, and then cryptically command their spell. Alright, eating the Elder Gargaroth. Pillage. Okay, so here's the play. We Petty Theft the Blood Moon. We crack the Flooded Strand. Or basic. And then we can either counter draw or counter bounce Klothys. There's certainly an argument to counter bouncing Klothys because she's so close to being active and the opponent is pinched on mana. So I think actually I'm going to do that. So counter pillage, bounce Klothys. She's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pips. That Blood Moon was 6 pips. So like another Seasoned Pyromancer, for example, would get to the 7th pip. Anyway, we're taking a hit, going down to 9. And here's our Ancestral coming off suspend. Let's draw some cards. Ooh. Wait, I kind of like double suspending Ancestral. Shoot, I messed up. I should have not used this in case the opponent cast a Blood Moon. But oh well. We'll let them attack. Actually, I guess this could be bad if they have double bolt. So what can we do? Well, if they have double bolt, then we can Commandeer. So it's not that bad, although it is kind of bad. Yeah, I think I want to just preserve our life total against a double bolt. So I think I'm gonna bounce Seasoned Pyromancer, draw a card. I should have probably tapped the team, drawn a card, but yeah, too late now. And actually, yeah, that would have taken away a mana from the opponent. Yeah, this was a punt for sure. This was a punt for sure. What? Oh no, I chose the wrong mode. I meant to draw a card. All right, well the opponent's off of mana, so I guess we took 2 damage that we didn't need to and didn't draw a card. Well, we're eating a bolt. Cast the Temporal Mastery, I guessed. Ancestral's ticking down. Yeah. That was a huge mistake, taking 2 damage when we didn't need to. Because now we are dead to another bolt. Well, this we can at least read. Alright, opponent putting us in bolt range. Cast the Brazy Bee. Double Ancestral. I think we need to cast the Ancestral in our graveyard and draw into either a Warp or a Snapcaster. Dang it. I'm trying to decide if we keep the Jaces in hand. One interesting part here is we do have Commandeer hardcast up, but like I don't know that these Jaces are doing anything anyway, so I think I'm just gonna play the Dreadhorde Arcanist. And one other thing I was thinking about is we could have cast Jace and then, oh boy. Alright, so we need control of this bolt. Point it at face. So we're still dead to land bolt, but we need to block the Bloodbraid to not die. And we are drawing like 10 cards this turn if we want. So hopefully there's some good ones in here. Okay, there we go. I think I'll go land, Snapcaster. Where is Time Warp? Okay. Whoops. And then attack with these. I think I just want to cast a draw 3. We can go ahead and just discard a bunch of these excess lands. Okay. I think the opponent is dead. Go cast a Dreadhorde. Discard a land. And then what? This is like 3, 5, 6, 7 zap. Yeah. We just cast a lightning bolt and kill the opponent. That sounds good to me. Whew, that was a close one. All right, so Aether Gust is gonna be amazing. Thing in the Ice I think is good. Force of Negation also I think is good. We can hit like a Utopia Sprawl or a Stone Rain effect. And I think Commandeer is going to be okay. And what to cut? I think we want to trim on Ancestrals. Opponent's on a Bolt deck, so I think we want to trim on Dreadhordes. Brazen Borrower is good. I think we can trim a Jace. Again, Bolts and Bloodbraids are not good for Jace. We can trim those. I think we want all the lands against a Stone Rain deck. And let's bring these in. See anything I'm missing? We could bring in an Anger of the Gods to clean up all of the Seasoned Pyromancer tokens, but I don't think that's worth it. I think we'd rather just like Thing in the Ice to get rid of them, but not super sure about that. Let's try it like this. Okay, here we are for game 2. This hand looks excellent. All right, Arbor Elf is boltable, so I will bolt it. And I'm going to use the Steam Vents here because then we can fetch an island if we need to, in the assumption that the opponent might have a Blood Moon. Relic. Okay, that's fine. There goes our bolt. Nice. Go ahead and grab a basic island. And play a thing. And now thing is going to flip in 2 turns. Even if the opponent plays like a Blood Moon or a single Stone Rain effect. Guess it would be really unfortunate if the opponent cast like a Chandra. Oh, Cindervines. Well, we're going to be taking some damage off these Cindervines. There goes that. Cast a Serum. And always yield to these. Yeah, so basically the thing we want to play around is a Chandra. So there's a Force Negation, perfect. So I kind of want to be able to Commandeer a Chandra. Let's see, so I guess if I go top, play a land, and then we Commandeer the Chandra using, I guess I would need to cast like an Opt or something. We Commandeer the Chandra using Force Negation, Serum Visions. That's brings thing in the ice down to 2, and then we'll be able to go Opt into Lightning Bolt after that. So I think we just top, because that lets do the thing. I think, let's see, do I play an Opt or do I play a Serum Visions? I think I'll play a Serum Visions. I'll wait. Decide later. I guess that means I'm probably playing an Opt. Alright, opponent is exiling all graveyards and drawing a card, going up to 4, 5 on their turn. Stomp. That one's going to be fine, I think. Basically, as long as they don't have a creature that does damage for... Wait, what does this do? Yeah, destroy an artifact or enchantment, deals 2 damage to that permanent's controller. Basically, I could forcibly negate this. But I think I would rather just allow the opponent to cast 1 more spell. And then this one I'll forcibly. I'll get rid of an Opt. I'll Opt now. And I don't have enough blue cards for Commandeer, so I guess I bottom the Commandeer. Yeah, I guess the fact that we needed to play Force. Yeah, I'm okay with just playing the Serum Visions and attacking. Sounds like probably our best play, probably better than keeping up Cryptic Command. Oh, there's a Commandeer. Let's see, we're gonna hit him for 7 down to 8. I don't think Bolt is gonna be good. Well, actually, if the opponent goes Bone Crusher Giant, we can Bolt the Bone Crusher and then Bolt face for lethal, so maybe that is good. Maybe I'll go bottom, top, and attack them. Yeah, I mean, opponent doesn't have that many cards in hand, so... I should have put the land on top, because then we would be able to... Then we would be able to tap draw and yeah, tap draw, have the red source, and then bolt. So that was a mistake. I think I still want to bring the opponent to 1. I think. And I think that's probably better than nice. Yeah, I think killing the opponent is probably better than not killing them, right? Cool. I'll see you for the last match. Here we are for the 5th and final match. We have lost the die roll. I mean, this hand, if Remand is good, then this hand is decent. But the fact that this hand has no cantrips makes me not like it. I mean, we do have 8 cantrips plus the 4 Ancestral that we can draw into, but like, as it stands, this hand is kind of weak. I mean, I guess I'll keep it, but I don't like it. I'm already regretting my decision. Thoughtseize from the opponent. Okay, so I do like keeping this hand against a Thoughtseize deck, just because mulliganing against a Thoughtseize deck does not make your hand better. I do think we're in a real bad spot to not have an Ancestral Vision, though, because Ancestral Vision is generally one of the best cards against Overgrown Tomb Thoughtseize. Whoa, Island. I thought this was Jund. This is probably Shadow. Let's see, Stubborn Denial. Yeah, this must be a Shadow deck. Okay, the opponent almost certainly has Fatal Push, so I think I'm just gonna play Sulfur Falls and leave up Remand. Dreadhorde Arcanist really isn't doing anything right now without any 1-drops. So I would much rather just have the Remand up. But yeah, this is not a... Ooh, it's 4-color Shadow. An opponent is intentionally dealing damage to themselves. They must have multiple shadows in hand. Right. Or maybe they only have 1 shadow, but they must have Death Shadow in hand. It's really the only thing I can think of that would lead to this. I have 6 cards. Like, kind of a lot. Tarmogoyf. I will Remand this. That's why we were holding up Remand for so long. I think I'll hold up Cryptic rather than cast Jace. Jace, unfortunately, will die to a bolt if we don't plus him. Well, so maybe that is an argument for casting Jace and then plussing him. Like, he's not really that much safer in our hand. He won't die to bolt that way, and then we'll be able to minus on the Tarmogoyf and other stuff. Yeah, all right, I'm liking this more. I'm liking this more. And then I assume that the opponent has Death Shadow in hand, so any card that lets them lose life is going to the bottom. Death Shadow they can keep, I think. All right, there's a Tarmogoyf. Now I'll play an island and Serum Visions. Ooh, Time Warp. From that, pop that. Only we had 1 more mana. So I'm going to bounce the Goyf and then basically try to set up for warping next turn. So this might mean getting rid of their island. Oh boy. By attempting to bounce their island with Cryptic Command, just so that they can't... Right, so I'm gonna let the Goyf resolve, so that if they play... there's certainly an argument for countering this and bouncing the Goyf. I like that. Alright, so I don't think this deck usually plays Force of Negation, so I feel pretty safe to cast this Time Warp. I think I'll go Serum Visions first so that we can dig deeper than just zeroing with Jace, although something like Ancestral would be a reason to have, but oh, let's do that. Okay, so yeah, feel, cast, draw some cards. I don't think we need this bolt. Do this. These. Cast the Dreadhorde. Spend the Ancestral. Play the Steam Vents tapped. Turn. Alright, Ancestral ticking down to 3. Come on, we can do that. Or maybe not. Let's see here. I think we're going Snap Time Warp to 5. Also casting a Serum Visions, I guess. Right, and bottom both those. Opponent. Actually, maybe we did want that bolt. I didn't realize that our opponent was so very low. Anyway. hopefully they're just dead regardless. Ancestral ticking down 2. Yes, attack with both. Cast another Serum Visions. This will let us dig deeper for another Time Warp. Then, let's see. I mean, these cards don't literally kill the opponent, but they get pretty close if we just go Bolt, Snap, Bolt, and like Brazen Borrower or something. So I think I'll pop these. Zero Jace. We draw. Guess I could. Let's see. So what I want to do is cast the Dreadhorde Arcanist and then go Bolt, Snap, Bolt, Brazen Borrower. So let's see. Dreadhorde Arcanist, Bolt, Snap, Bolt. I think I'm 1 mana short of all of that. So I guess I'm not casting Dreadhorde Arcanist then. I'll put these two back like that. Pass to the opponent. So we didn't literally kill them, but the opponent is on the brink of death. It's probably the best land they could have drawn, honestly. I think I go Bolt, Snap, Bolt, Brazen Borrower, just like I said, and then we can bounce the Shadow and attack with all. Opponent's going to be at 1, and there'll be 4 attackers. Even if they kill something, then they're probably dead. That sounds like a plan to me. Not sure what card they could have off of exactly Blood Crypt that gets them out of this. Okay, nice. So 4-color Shadow. This is typically one of the more difficult matchups, just because they can 1-for-1 us really effectively. Commandeer isn't amazing. Force of Negation is also not really amazing because like 2-for-1ing ourselves just so the opponent doesn't resolve a Thoughtseize is like not exactly where we want to be. Yeah, basically like none of these cards are actually that powerful. Like Thing in the Ice dies to Fatal Push, like all our other stuff. I think Aether Gust is going to be fine against Tarmogoyf. I don't really like Commandeer. And then I mean, maybe I bring in like one Thing in the Ice over the other Commandeer. Like Burst Lightning doesn't seem that good to me. I think it's unlikely that the opponent will put themselves into, get Burst Lightning out of the game range. I mean, it is a consideration, but seems unlikely. Yeah, our cards are just not very good in this matchup. I guess we'll try it like this. Okay, here we are for game 2. We are on the draw. This is the mono Dreadhorde Arcanist hand, huh? So I don't like mulliganing against Thoughtseize decks if your hand is remotely playable, so I'm going to keep it. This isn't the most amazing hand, certainly, but it does fall in the category of remotely keepable. So yeah, like I said, I don't like mulliganing against Thoughtseize decks. Like even though this hand isn't great, like what 6 are we looking for that's better post Thoughtseize than our 7, right? Okay, there goes Brazen Borrower. Makes sense. And what do we draw? Time Warp. That's really bad. So now we're in an interesting predicament where do we play the Riverglide pathway and then cast Serum Visions looking for another red source? Or do we play this as Lavaglide pathway so we can cast the Dreadhordes? Or do we postpone the decision? And I'm saying we postpone the decision. Basically, like, Dreadhorde Arcanist isn't that good without Serum Visions, but also Serum Visions, playing Serum Visions there means we need to start looking for a red source. So, like, yeah, there's nothing good. Opponent Thought Scours themselves. This looks like a Gurmag Angler to me. That would also make sense that the opponent took Brazen Borrower if they were looking for the Gurmangler. Yep, There's the Grimangler. I mean, we have a bunch of blue sources in the deck and not that many red sources, so I don't like this, but I'll just try really hard to draw a basic island next turn. Opponent's down to 10, so they can play a big Death Shadow. Which they do. I mean, I guess 3/3 isn't big per se, but it's... Okay, that's annoying. Not getting a blue source is pretty brutal. Maybe I should have just cast the Serum Visions on turn 1. Either way, this is not looking good for us. Yeah, especially not when the opponent draws a fetch land. We're taking a boatload of damage here. It's 11, we're going to 4. Another Grimangler. I don't think there's anything we can draw here. That's definitely not it. Alright, let's try again in game 3. Alright, do we want to change any of the sideboarding? Aether Gust would have been really bad that game. Guess there's an argument for Mystical Dispute. Just given that the opponent is a blue deck, they play Stubborn Denial. Mystical Dispute is going to do something against that. So maybe we can go like this, and what do we take out? Maybe a land? We're still trying to hit land drops though, but I guess we... Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll try one more thing over one Dreadhorde Arcanist. Oh, this is 61 cards. What did I do? I added the 2 Mystical Disputes and I took out 1 land. Oh, and then I swapped a thing in a Dreadhorde. I mean, so Thing in the Ice is good against Grimangler, which is the main reason that I'm thinking it might be good. And then Aether Gust is really only good against Tarmogoyf. I feel like our answers just need to line up so well with our opponent's threats. I guess I'll get rid of Aether Gust. I'm really not sure. Just like our opponent's threats are Death Shadow, Grimangler, and Tarmogoyf, so it only really hits one of the 3. Anyway, here we are for game 3. We are going first. Do we risk it for the biscuit? I've definitely gotten burned by keeping one-landers like this before. But again, I don't want to mulligan against a Thoughtseize deck. Anything that is remotely close to functional. And if we draw a Sulfur Falls or a Lavaglide pathway or a Steam Vent or a fetch land, then we are seriously in business here. So just gotta get the slightest bit lucky. Opponent is mulliganing to 6. And I believe in the heart of the cards, so I'm gonna go ahead and suspend this Ancestral and top deck a Sulfur Falls. I don't think we need to opt. Opponent has Polluted Delta into Watery Grave, probably Thoughtseize, Inquisition. Wonder if the opponent's going to take the opt and try to mana screw us, or take the Dreadhorde Arcanist or the Snapcaster Mage. Maybe they take the Brazen Borrower and they go for a turn 2 Grimangler again. That's certainly possible. Take the Dreadhorde Arcanist. That's reasonable. Alright, Ancestral ticks down. We have an interesting choice here of, do we play this as a red source, or do we leave a Mystical Dispute? I don't think there's going to be any blue card that we want to dispute, so actually I'm just going to... I'll cast off now and see if we get either another land or an Ancestral. Fortunately, Snapcaster is not a land. That is also unfortunate. Go ahead and play this as a red source, so we'll be able to play any Dreadhorde Arcanist or Lightning Bolts that we draw. Guess there's an argument for playing it as a blue source, so that if we draw Mikokoro or I think we cut the Gemstone Cavern, but if we draw Mikokoro, basically the non-blue source, we'd still be able to snap opt. But again, I'm just going to believe in the heart of the cards. We're going to draw blue source. Temporal Mastery is looking pretty terrible though. Alright, Thought Scour themselves. Is this a Germangler? It is a Germangler. I'm going to go ahead and bounce the Germangler on our turn so it doesn't get veiled or stubbornly denied. Okay, maybe I should not have believed in the heart of the cards, because they clearly don't believe in me. Well, Ancestral Vision's ticking down, and opponent doesn't have a threat on board. And they're gonna have some trouble casting Germangler. Okay, Tarmogoyf. A little annoying, but what can you do? Ancestral ticks down to 1. Got a land. I'm gonna go ahead and not crack it, so as to not add an additional card type to the graveyards. This way we're also holding up Mystical Dispute. If the opponent, for example, casts another Tarmogoyf, we can Mystically Dispute it. Thoughtseize, I think. So basically what I don't want to happen is our Ancestral to get stubbornly denied, because I want this to resolve. And I think the most likely way we resolve Ancestral is by not responding to this Thoughtseize, because then we can either snap Mystical Dispute a stubborn denial, or we can just Mystically Dispute a stubborn denial, and I am willing to do that. So let the Thoughtseize resolve. Alright, Snapcaster is gone. Tarmogoyf comes in for 3. This tells us that the opponent probably doesn't have a fetch land, because they would have done that to hit us for 1 more. But anyway, I want to cast Brazen Borrower. Given that the opponent didn't play a Death Shadow here, I'm willing to take the risk and bet that they don't have one. Okay. Jeez. So I'd like to cast Jace, but again, I fear the stubborn denial. So I think I will just play the Strand. I'm gonna bet that they don't have it. I'll suspend our next Ancestral. Mishra's Bauble from the opponent. And Goyf comes in for 4. Brings us down to 12. And get a tapped Steam Vents. Are they gonna respond to this? They bobbled themselves. Oh, I guess they might fatally push our Brazen Borrower now. And then we can't Mystically Dispute that. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I would like to draw land, please. Yes. Right, let's go. Bounce the Goyf. We only have Mystical Dispute for green spells up. Sorry, for blue spells up, excuse me. Thinking about the Tarmogoyf. If the opponent hasn't drawn a land, then they won't be able to double spell, which is nice, but they did. So that's unfortunate. I guess they did have 2 draws between the Mishra's Bauble and the draw for turn. Alright, there's Goyf again. Okay, and looks like no Bolt for Jace, so that's good for us. Ancestral taking down. The Remand. I really would have liked to draw land. Basically, we can minus the Jace on the Goyf. I think given that we've drawn a Remand, I think that's the safest play. Because if we 0, we just really want to draw land. And then if we don't, we're in a lot of trouble, assuming that we, time warp and then the opponent stubbornly denies it. So I think by minusing the Jace here, I think this gives us the best opportunity to remand the opponent's Goyf. And then there's a breeding pool from the opponent. Got another land. That's rough. Yeah, but we can remand the Goyf, assuming that they just play the Goyf. And then if they replay the Goyf, they're tapped out, which is great. This looks like a Germangler, which is also an excellent remand target. No, okay, it is just Goyf. So we will remand this. Veil of Summer. I'm going to let that resolve because the Mystical Dispute, it's more important that we can mystically dispute a Stubborn Denial than that we can dispute this Goyf. And also, by giving ourselves the mana for Opt, that makes it substantially more likely that we'll draw into a land for Time Warp plus Mystical Dispute. There's the land. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and go for it first. Pretty sure this is safe. Wow. They didn't have it or chose not to. Put the 2 temporals on top. Suspend this Ancestral. And now we get that Ancestral. And yeah, now we are looking good. Oh, nice. That. 0 Jace. Put in the ice temporal on top. And play land. Cast a Dreadhorde Arcanist. And a Thing in the Ice. I believe the opponent is dead here. So Ancestral ticking down, Temporal Mastery, casting that. Thing in the Ice down to 3. I'm gonna play this land, bounce the Goyf, and then go for Bolt, Dreadhorde Bolt, which should be lethal. The opponent could have something like a Cling to Dust, but we've got Cryptic plus Mystical Dispute. So we're looking decent. Cool. I'll see you for the wrap-up. Okay, so we went 4-1, which is pretty good. We beat Heliod Company, we lost to Eldrazi Tron, we beat Storm, we beat Red-Green, Ponza, Midrange, whatever you want to call it, and we beat 4-color Shadow. So I do think this league really showed off the power of Dreadhorde Arcanist. Basically, anytime we were flashing back anything, right? It didn't even need to be Ancestral Vision. It could just be Serum Visions or Opt or Lightning Bolt. We were just getting so much card advantage that it felt incredibly powerful and I think justifiably banned in Legacy. The synergy with Ancestral Vision was fantastic. Even just, suspending the Ancestral and drawing the 3 cards was fine. There are enough cards like Remand in the deck that will delay the game and allow you to just cast the Ancestral naturally. And then being able to flash it back with Dreadhorde Arcanist is just fantastic. Snapcaster Mage is a card that I've missed a lot. It does kind of fight with Dreadhorde Arcanist for graveyard resources, so I think running a full playset alongside Dreadhorde Arcanist is too many, but 2 felt like a pretty sweet spot to me, and I think I'm going to continue running 2. Brazen Borrower / Petty Theft was also fantastic. Being able to Petty Theft a Chalice, for example, was really nice. We can also hit just other random permanents like Thought-Knot Seer or Planeswalkers that can cause problems. And then again, the fact that it was 3-1 Flash Flyer can end the game really, really quickly, taking just a few extra turns. Jace, yeah, he's fine. The extra turn suite I do think was pretty solid. Unfortunately, as much as it pains me not to run the full set of Time Warp, I do think running just 3 of them was a pretty nice medium where we weren't getting them stuck in hand too often, but we were still taking turns when we needed to. And then the interaction felt pretty good. Lightning Bolt, obviously great card. Remand, I'm still not a huge fan of, but when it's good, it is good. Cryptic Command, overall very solid. And then Commandeer is a pretty situational card. Like we saw it not do much in Game 1 against Heliod Company, for example, but it did also save us from a lethal Lightning Bolt from the Red-Green midrange deck. And we didn't get to see it at its best, which is when it's taking a Karn Liberated on turn 3 from your Tron opponent. But I do think it's a solid inclusion. There are just a lot of times where you have a random Temporal Mastery or like a late Ancestral that you drew that you're not going to have time to suspend, and turning those into an actual effect is really, really powerful. I also want to note that the Riverglide pathway and Lavaglide pathway felt really good in this deck. I think they're pretty solid for any 2-color decks in general. Overall, just a really great land cycle. I was overall pretty happy with the board, except that we really didn't have any cards for Death Shadow. The Thing in the Ice just felt great as a way to have a fast threat against, a random deck like Storm. The removal is great against creature decks like Heliod Company. The Surgical, unfortunately, I forgot to board it in against Storm in Game 2, but it is good when it's good. Aether Gust, also just solid against any red or green deck. Mystical Dispute is a pretty good counterspell, so is Force of Negation. And again, we didn't get to see Commandeer shine, but I do think that it's a pretty good card. So one card we can potentially add to the sideboard is Engineered Explosives. This is good both against Chalice of the Void, which we really saw Chalice of the Void on one destroy us out of Eldrazi Tron. So being able to just put the Engineered Explosives on 0 and then blow it up and take all the Chalices off the board is really nice. Of course, this wouldn't work if your opponent also has a Chalice on 0, which our opponent did in Game 3, so maybe it's not as powerful as it could be, but still worth bringing in against Chalice decks, I think. And I also think it's worth bringing in against Death Shadow decks, just because it can clear all of the opponent's Death Shadows off the board at once. It's also good against, any random threats like Tarmogoyf that are hard to deal with bolts. So probably a reasonable addition to the sideboard, but I'm not sure exactly what I would cut. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you for the next one.